Good evening. This is the Walpole, Massachusetts Conservation Commission meeting on Wednesday, December 13th. It is in person and also is streamed on Walpole Media. Public hearing notice, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission Notice of Intent. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given in the intent of Chad Greenbaum to construct at 79 Plimpton Street, map 19, lot 134, Walpole, Mass., a new pool with associated patio and fence. Notice of intent and plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on December 13th, 2023, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested persons requested to be present. See if we have anyone.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Paul DeSimone, Colonial Engineering.
Before you start, let's see if there's anything to read into the record here.
Sorry.
This is, is it to read in or not?
No. That's not to read it. Something else.
It doesn't look as though there's
No.
anything here for the record to read in? Okay. Representing the applicant?
Paul DeSimone from Colonial Engineering. I'm sitting in for Karen Catrone, who did the notice of intent. She had another meeting tonight.
Go ahead.
So what we're doing, we're proposing a pool, of course, a patio around it, as outlined on the plan, a fence around that, and erosion control around that. Now, Karen did take some pictures to send to you. I don't know if you saw them, of the area. It's all gravel. There's no trees in the area coming down right there. The disturbance in the 25-foot is 0. The disturbance in the 50-foot is 0. The disturbance between the 50 and the 100 is 945 square feet. Not a lot. So it's not going to be a chlorinated pool. It's going to be a saltwater pool. And the pump and filter and everything will be located outside the 100-foot buffer. So there won't be any issues with backwashing. And that's pretty much it. There's no grading involved. It's like a pancake out there if you look at the pictures that Karen sent in. And again, it's all gravel. There's nothing there but gravel. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Landis?
Yeah, so I reviewed the sites for existing information that I had, as well as near maps, which has a October 3rd, really good aerial photograph. And the wetlands are around the little pond that's on site, and then there's an intermittent stream that runs from the pond and eventually goes into the Ponset River, as I understand. The pool is at least 50 feet away from the bordering vegetated wetlands, which under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act doesn't require a notice of intent. So under the bylaw, generally the commission does take jurisdiction over pools in the buffer zone, just so that they can issue an order of conditions and attach conditions associated with if the pool needs to be emptied. We want to make sure it's emptied correctly. Other than that, I don't really have any concerns, other than, any of the excavated materials should come forward. There's no proposal to do anything beyond the erosion control, which is a limited work area, so it should either be trucked out or be stockpiled to the front of the house. And I don't know, is there any plans for use of any of the excavated material?
No,
other
it's
than
going to be trucked,
backfill?
it's going to be taken off-site. Because right now it's flat, so we don't need any grading around it. We don't need the material, so it'll be taken right off-site.
Okay. Dean?
Yeah, no, just don't stockpile any of the soil any closer to the wetlands. And truck it all out.
Well, there's a gravel, if you look at the plans, there's a gravel area where they
Gravel
park
area.
their cars now, and that will be used as a staging area for when it's gone, because once the material is removed, it's gravel now, so if there's any gravel left, that will be incorporated into the driveway.
And then, they're gonna ask you about draining the pool. Don't drain the pool or the wetland.
No, no.
All set. No more questions.
Bailey?
No questions.
Doug?
On the subject of draining the pool, where would the pool be drained to?
Well, they would direct it towards the west, because again, once you get past that gravel area where the driveway is now, that turns into lawn. It will be forced in that direction,
That's uphill, right?
yes. Well, it's actually flat. It's very flat right
What is
there
it?
in the back there.
Okay. All right, that was it.
Media?
In the wetlands area, what does that look like right now, the wetlands that
Well,
you?
if you were to go out there, where the proposed pool area is up on a big flat gravel area. And then it gets about 25 to 30 feet beyond that, the slope goes down to the wetlands. It's heavily brushed, trees, it's kind of tough walking down there, it's all briars. And the wetlands numbers 1B around that area to the right, that's a pond. It's a nice clean pond, and it's a lawn right around it.
Is it appropriate to put any bounds on that wetland line? Are there any right now?
No.
I'm sorry, no disturbed bound markers there?
Are there any now?
Yeah.
No, there's
Would it be appropriate to request that?
leave that to the board to just decide.
I request it.
Okay, although I wouldn't want them around the pond, well, actually, I'll say it later when.
Yeah, wherever it's appropriate, yeah.
Okay, anything else, media? Al?
Well, I have a comment to make. The presenter mentions that it's a saltwater pool and not a chlorine pool, okay? What everybody seems to ignore is the fact that salt water is just as bad for the wetlands as chlorine is, and we want to make sure that they have a working plan for when they have to lower the level and drain it, where the water goes, to make sure that it doesn't go into the wetland or into the pond. Everybody seems to think, well, it's a saltwater pool and we don't have to worry about it. Well, salt is bad for the wetland and salt is bad for the pond. So I think we have to make sure that people understand that. It's not anywhere written that salt is great for the environment. It's not, okay? So that's my only comment, and as long as the people that are gonna live there and use it are aware of that fact, they wouldn't want to wake up some morning and see that the wetland and the pond is turned brown because of somebody allowed some of that salt water into the wetland or the pond. That's my only concern.
Okay, Betsy?
Yeah, no comment on the swimming pool. A comment that I wish the word wetland that the word pond was there instead of wetland, because this is an historic house, that's an historic pond. There's actually a lot of interesting things about that pond that I won't get into. And it's what I was getting at when Emilio said, oh, we need some wetland boundaries here, not around the pond. That's a beautiful historic farm pond with some really interesting stories with it that I will not tell. But anyway, possibly some wetland boundaries where there's truly wetland. I wish you had labeled it pond.
I can
No,
put
you
that.
don't need to redo the plans. No, it's all right.
I can put it on and give you copies, not a problem. That's
We
what you
need to
want.
show the bounds.
But it's, I agree with you as far as the, wetland bounds around the pond, because that's a nice lawn area. It's, like you say, this is a very historic house. This whole area has been like this for a long time. Putting them in, down where the other flags are, I mean, you can't even walk down there without getting, I'm telling you, I was down there myself personally, and I get all chewed up. So I don't really, the bounds wouldn't serve any purpose going down there, down on that slope that I could see. You'll never see them, they'll be in thick, thick brush.
I'm inclined to agree with that, but, yeah.
Excuse me, excuse me, you'll have a chance to speak. Anything else, then, Betsy? All right, I think we've made a point that the, need to do something with the, whatever discharge there is, that it does not go towards the wetlands.
You can put, you're gonna do an order of conditions.
We'll
If
include
you
that.
put that in the order of conditions, that it's to be directed away from the wetlands, or towards the west, or towards the lawn.
Right.
So I've recommended a condition in my report.
No problem with that.
Okay, your condition is free of chlorides and other pool chemicals, and not directed. I don't know how it's gonna get free of the salt. If it's a saltwater pool,
Sorry, what?
if it's a saltwater pool, I don't know how you're gonna get rid of the salt. Your suggested condition is, shall be free of chlorides and/or other pool chemicals, and not directed towards, not directed towards the wetland, but I don't see how you're gonna eliminate the chlorides in a saltwater pool.
Okay, well, it's meant to read that pool water discharge within the 100-foot buffer zone shall be free of all chlorides or other pool chemicals, which include salt, like you say specific salt, and not directed to the wetlands.
Right.
If it goes anywhere else, then it should be neutralized, but what you're saying is you can't
I
neutralize
don't know how
salt.
you're gonna neutralize the
Okay,
salt
well
other
then,
than, you know,
another
dilute
wording
it.
that you consider more appropriate, or put in.
Well, it wouldn't be discharged within the 100-foot. It will be outside, discharge will definitely be outside of the 100-foot buffer, no question about that.
So maybe that's the,
But just the second sentence you want to take out.
Just discharged, not in the direction of the wetlands.
Yep, okay.
And as far as the plaques, pleasure of the commission, what's your thoughts?
I mean, it's fairly apparent that it's, the start of the wetlands and there, then there's,
So I have an aerial up on the screen
Okay.
now. You're gonna take comments from, to see if there's
Yeah.
anyone.
yeah.
The only thing is putting plaques in the middle of someone's lawn in an area that's already been disturbed and has been disturbed for quite a while.
okay,
I think it's kind of imposing,
okay. That's fine.
Okay.
because they have filed an application with the Conservation Commission for something that's not even within that area. If they were going to be developing within that area, then I
Right.
think it's more appropriate, but the pool is on the opposite side of the house, and putting plaques with bounds in the middle of their lawn, to me, I don't know, it just seems imposing,
That's fine,
personally.
okay.
All right with everybody? Okay. Anybody in the audience who would like to have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record.
My only comment was I couldn't hear what you were saying. I'm sorry. I didn't have a question, I just couldn't hear. You said something about yellow flags, and you'd been down on the,
The slope where the wetlands are in the back is pretty steep and really thick.
Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
video holding,
I'm sorry?
Drop
So
the hat, somebody.
they're talking about putting plaques in along the wetlands, or 25 foot off the wetlands, and that's
Towards the back of the
that's
garage.
typical, yeah, that's behind the garage, yeah. And I was just explaining to him that that's really not practical, because you'd never see them. If you put them in that thick brush, you wouldn't see them, for sure, even in the winter.
My
Okay.
name's Josh Golding.
You have to go up to the microphone and you have to sign in, both of you. You have to sign in, because you talked at a public meeting, so you both have to sign in.
Okay, my name's Josh Golding. I'm Elizabeth's son. We own the land next door that, to the west. And, yep. The lot to, above the house up here, where the, like 7 feet from where the pool's gonna be, and we're concerned about where the water is gonna go when it's drained. You say it's gonna go west, and
Towards the lawn.
that whole area is a hill straight down into our land.
From here down is a hill going down the slope.
And
We
water
discharge
travels
from-
downhill when
Well, once
it's
it hits,
discharged.
this is all gravel in here, and it's gonna just dissipate into the ground.
So what is your proposal for draining the pool?
Well, it'll be drained about 6 inches.
By what
Before the
method?
winter.
Could actually talk to the commission. So if you're
Sorry.
asking the question,
I'm-
how will the applicant drain the pool, then he can answer it to the commission, because all the questions should go to the commission and then back to the applicant, if you would, just so it's, you're not having a conversation between the two of you.
I'm concerned about where the water is going to be drained from the pool and by what method it's going to be drained. And if they're draining it to a top of a slope that slopes directly into our land, that seems like an untenable situation. I'd prefer not to have that happen.
It's not gonna be directed towards their land. It'll be directed to the lawn and the gravel area that's up behind the house. It's all gravel up there. That whole hill is all gravel. It's just gonna go right into the ground.
That's,
They usually drain down through the filter, 6 inches of water just below the skimmer before you put the cover on. That's typical. It's not a lot of water.
Okay.
so
I think
the gravel driveway is, I think is what he's talking about, the driveway? That's to the,
Well,
what you're talking about?
The whole area is gravel up in there.
But so,
The discharge any discharge from the pool should be on the owner's property and not towards the wetland. And-
salt water?
And, he's got to keep it on their property. So it's not discharge on the abutter's property.
Well, it's on a steep slope. The water is going to come straight into
Well,
onto our land. That's my concern.
um,
And even above ground or below ground, it's still going to come onto our land. Salt water, you know.
I hear
The hill
what you're
drops
saying.
about 40 feet straight down.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the topography there. I think we just, that it has to be discharged on the owner's property. And as long as it's on their property, I think if there was anything come on, that would have to be something you'd have to take up separately. No, as long as they keep it on their property when they discharge it. And I would think it would be appropriate not to discharge it right on the border of that property.
No,
I think
it'll be
that-
directed to the gravel and the lawn.
Should that be in the order, that
Yeah.
it's directed to the gravel? I mean, to the,
I
where
would
the,
think, yeah, just-
maybe
Away-
specify?
Away from wetlands and away from abutters.
Sure.
yes.
I'd like to know exactly where it's going to be discharged, though, not just general discharge. I'd like to know,
So the
like,
commission can put that in the order of conditions, but it won't be enforceable on the Wetlands Protection Act, just to clarify. If they don't do it. if it's
Like, is
not
there gonna be a
impacting the
pipe?
Wetlands resource areas, it's really difficult to enforce it. So,
is there a pipe that discharges it? Is it a pump? Do you use a hose for the pump? Like,
I don't know what the
Typically, I can
normal,
answer that question.
normal
Typically-
practice is with, but it's common practice to lower the pool levels and cover it for the winter. And I think if there's any, if you think there's some issues with water coming onto your property from your, as an abutter, that would be up to you to proceed on a civil action.
Although there was
It's not something that, what we can tell is have it directed away from the wetlands and not towards the abutting property.
Typically, when, I don't know if you guys have pools, I've had one for a million years, it's lowered through the pump, okay? It's drained through the system, through the pump, and what I do is, on mine, I put a hose on my pump and get it away from the house as far as I can. You can have a 100-foot hose for all that matters.
Is the owner of the property here tonight?
Yes.
So maybe this gentleman and the owner should have a conversation of the best way to handle the situation so that both property owners are satisfied. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, we can, happy to do that.
It's just, if it's not a wetlands protection
Use the
issue,
microphone.
they put it in the order of conditions, it's very difficult to enforce it. It's a property.
I mean, you understand, it's a reasonable concern, right?
It is, it's a property issue, so since they're here tonight, I suggest that you guys just go out in the hall after
Okay.
your hearing and have a conversation.
Go to the microphone, please.
Hi, my name is Betty Golding. I'm the abutter that owns the land that we were just talking about, and previous homeowner of 79. And I'm really excited to see the pool go in and do that. I wish we had done it, but we didn't. So I don't want to get in the way of any development of the pool. I just would like to be able to anticipate and protect the adjacent lot, which has potentially a buildable lot or two on it. So I don't want to look down the road and wish I had. So I don't know the means specifically for protecting and anticipating. I don't know if it's conservation or civil or whatever. So I'm here looking for some direction in regard to that.
I think sometimes pools have been rather closer to the wetlands. This technically didn't even have to file tonight. So sometimes they're closer to the wetlands, and the commission would require, or they would do it, they put a little sump in so that the water is discharged to a sump area.
Yeah.
Therefore, it goes through the gravel and doesn't roll over the surface.
As my son pointed out, it's really downhill. So we just need to anticipate what direction to put it in, or,
So I would say that you were saying, so what is your next step? I think you've already taken it. You're in a public forum, and everyone is talking in a very reasonable way about it. And Landis's suggestion about stepping out into the hall, now and then we make that suggestion, because if it's beyond our jurisdiction, we can't, we can certainly put some wording in the order of conditions, but neighborly talking, you've actually started it right here. It's a good thing.
and I would have done it sooner, but it's been a busy time of year for them and me, so whatever.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, anyone else have anything else?
that's it. Thank you.
All right, someone make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Got a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
700. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And the order, as we discussed with the direction of the, yeah, I just did the, any drawdown from the pool not be directed to the wetlands and be kept on the owner's property.
Yep, definitely.
The applicant's property. Okay.
Just have one copy.
Okay, well,
Right?
Absolutely.
She won the,
How many copies do we
for that.
well, we don't,
Don't forget, this is
you'll
the,
take what?
Just to get it out of your way.
Okay, and then, is this for us?
Yeah, that's Winter Street.
So, you guys,
I could take it out of your way.
that's the.
Okay.
I know, right?
Does everyone have a plan?
We have this plan.
Yeah, there's only one plan.
Okay, there was a different one online. That one was online, but that's okay. I don't,
That was different.
it's okay. The one online looked gorgeous.
Here we go.
Never seen anything like it.
You need more of these down there, or
No, I mean, oh, so you've got the one that's,
here's
yeah.
one?
That looks
One
beautiful.
is an architectural rendering, one is the site plan.
Hearing notice of the Walpole Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission notice of intent in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Michael Marsica to construct at 82 Winter Street, map 122, lot 56, Walpole, Mass. A new pool, deck, shed, and play area with associated landscaping. Notice of intent and plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on December 13th, 2023, beginning at 7:15 PM. All interested persons request to be present. Okay. Do you have anything to read in? Okay. Representing the applicant?
Do you need an additional?
I think we're all set. Yeah, hold on for a minute. We don't have anything else to read into the
Okay.
record.
So representing the applicant?
Yes, hi, good evening. This is Anjali Joshi. I'm a landscape architect, and I'm representing the applicant, Mike Marcia, who's the homeowner. We are here to also discuss a pool. The pool is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone and well away from the 25-foot no disturbance zone. The existing site is an open grass area, relatively flat, and an existing vinyl fence is shown in the sort of shape that you see with the lines that exists. It's a 6-foot vinyl fence that the homeowner bought when the homeowner purchased the property, it existed. The pool, the deck, the fire pit, all the improvements are outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. And as part of the improvements, in addition to the pool, we'll be planting some understory native trees and shrubs to both enhance the property but also be to be consistent with its context. I guess just referring to the questions that were previously asked of the previous applicant, there is a 16-foot space between the existing white vinyl fence and the property line that allows the water to be discharged within the property line and outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. It's to the west of the pool. It is also a salt pool. And the paving around the pool is intended to be with pervious joints and stone dust, so it's not going to be a impervious surface. Anything else I can elaborate on?
Okay. Landis?
Yep, so as you can see from the aerial that we have up there now, the backyard is an existing grassed area. I think there's a couple trees to the rear, but it's a fenced-in grassed area that's obviously been already used as a backyard. And all the activities are occurring within the existing fenced area. The 25-foot no alteration area, as you can see from your plan, is at the corner of the fence pretty close to the fence once you get to the other side. That no activities being proposed within that area. And the pool is close up to the house with some landscaping and planting. Is there gonna be much fill brought in, or is it just gonna be
No, I
loam?
think there is going to be subtle grading within a couple of feet.
Yeah, it looked
And
like there
I've
was a couple
shown that
low
on the
areas.
grading plan. But, so we'll use the excavated fill for it, but no, there will not be any additional fill needed only because of the extent of grading is pretty minimized.
And all the excessive excavated material will be carted off-site,
Yes.
or?
It will be.
And I think from your plan, the compost sock will run on the outside of the fence? in
That's
case-
correct,
just to
yes.
Stop anything from going out into the wetlands.
Yes.
So again, I didn't really have any other concerns other than the pool issue, discharging the water. I assume this is another salt pool.
It is.
Seems like most of our, now, they're all salt pools now. But again, yes, salt can be detrimental to the wetlands, and we want to make sure it's not discharged directly into wetlands.
And I appreciate all the comments, the homeowners here, so fortunately, we have a fairly large area to the west of the property outside of the buffer zone that allows us enough space for the water to be discharged safely.
Okay. Dean?
No questions.
Haley?
No questions?
No questions.
Emilio?
All set?
Al?
My only concern, again, is the salt water from the pool. That's, and I think we've heard that enough.
Betsy?
No comment.
Okay, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record. Hearing
So
none.
just since we
Oh,
have the homeowner here, you want to just come up for a second? So you understand the issue with the discharging of the pool? We realize that every now and then the pool may have to be drawn down slightly, or if it has to be repaired.
Yep.
The water shouldn't be discharged out towards the wetlands.
Yep.
It should be discharged up front or into a little sump area, or someplace where the salt water isn't going to get into the surface water.
Yeah, we'll be sure to bake that into the plan as it gets built.
Good to have the homeowner here to realize that, because sometimes commission issues the order and nobody ever reads them, so. Thank you for being here.
Okay, make a motion to close the hearing,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
700. Okay. Again, the same
Thank you for your time.
order with,
Thank you very much.
Good to go.
with the discharge and same note that we had before.
The material, just take notes.
And any excavated material removed from the site.
Okay.
Okay? Someone make that a motion?
So moved. Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
700. Thank you.
Thank you.
Snoozed, I lose, I lost. What did I do? It didn't work.
Snooze on
I think so.
I'm gonna take the whole thing.
You guys can have more, please.
Those are really good.
Yeah, I like
Something to
those.
sign.
Both good.
Do you have that other signature sheet there?
Yep.
Pass it down again.
Hey, Josh is coming back.
Wake up.
Josh.
Pass it.
Thanks.
I'm still working on the first round. It took more than I needed.
I'm thinking with each hearing, you can have one.
My wife told me no empty bins, only coming home.
So what is the wife's name?
Megan,
Megan?
for the record.
Yes. Thank her. Thank her.
Thank you, Megan.
For the record.
For the record.
Need some eggnog and milk or something. Anybody else? Anyone?
Oh, yeah, bring that down here.
For the proper-
Great British Bake Off, man. You watch that show?
That's next.
Okay.
Okay,
Clean up, yeah.
we'll, next item, then we'll go to the 965 West Street enforcement order. And just for the record, I will step down from this discussion due to my contact with MF Landscaping from the position I have at the Adams Farm Committee and the Friends of Adams Farm. So Betsy?
Oh, yeah, okay. So, Landis, I think we're beginning with you, with a description of,
I think I have everything in
These are the empties coming back.
oh, there's still cookies. Make sure they get all the way down.
Okay, so I did a site visit at 965 West Street, MF Landscaping, which has a valid order of conditions with the Conservation Commission, and a land disturbance permit for a site plan approval for a crossing and grading and structures for the landscaping business that is going out there. And I noticed when I was walking around the site that there was a couple of areas where the activity had gone beyond the approved plan. One being that there was a recent purchase of a budding property, which Mr. Freiberg did come in and tell me that he was purchasing, but some activity was already occurring on that property. And I think one thing that maybe wasn't realized that because the replication area was there, that essentially becomes a wetlands, and it looked to me that probably part of the activity was occurring within that 100 feet of the wetlands, but also because it was really part of the whole project that it should have required an amendment. He did put up erosion control and compost sock in appropriate location. That was appreciated. But there was I think stone dust road that was not shown on the original plan that went out to that area. And then behind the material bins, again, there was a discussion with me about that Eversource was coming in to put electric poles to the rear of the bins. I think I was under the impression that there was only going to be some activity back there to put the poles in, but not that there would remain a gravel road in the 100-foot buffer zone and partially in the 25-foot no alteration area. Then there was just a couple different other little areas where on the site plan was shown the limited work where they had gone beyond. There's no wetland resources, no wetland resource areas were altered. It was all work within buffer zone areas that wasn't approved. So Mr. Freiberg's engineer, Scott Henderson, came in today and we went over the plan, and it's my understanding that he will be putting together an amendment of the land disturbance permit and the order of conditions to address these issues and file with the commission, so the commission can discuss them and move forward with amending the plan, if the commission agrees that it's an amendment.
So you said part of a road is in the 25-foot?
Well, a portion of the, in my report, you can see where the bins are and the gravel road. The 25-foot no alteration area comes out into that area a bit, yes.
Uh-huh. And how close to the replication area is work?
I don't know it specifically until everything's put on the plan.
Okay, oh, yeah.
So, generally with a thing with our replication areas, it becomes the wetlands line. I mean, that's the whole purpose of putting in a replication area to compensate for wetlands that have been filled.
Yeah.
So it really should have a 25-foot no alteration
Yeah,
area.
yeah. All right, shall we hear from Mike about what?
Mike Freiberger, owner.
Diana Freiberger, homeowner as well.
So the roadway that was put in there is due to access for Eversource. So they were, I'm sure as you guys have maybe heard in the past, they're very challenging to deal with. And there wasn't much notice when they were coming. They really just showed up one day. They had plans drawn. As soon as we asked about altering the plans to not go into that area, they said we have to restart the whole process, which had already taken 8 months. So they wanted this road put in there for access to the power lines. We even offered and said, if you guys have boom trucks, you could certainly come on the other side of the bins and reach over the top. They said, absolutely not, we won't put them in. So we built a gravel road behind those bins so they could gain access to them. It does, as Landis mentioned, it encroaches slightly into the 25-foot area in one little zone. We graded that area out, and then we did a whole bunch of wetlands, kind of just off-the-record replication areas. So we actually dug the area out, put in a new loam and compost mix. We did wetlands replication plants. We did wetlands wetland seed mix as well to try and at least buffer this back area. The other.
Just, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just put up the site plan where I just quickly kind of circled areas where there was differences from what was approved under the site plan. You can kind of see where the 25-foot no alteration area, which you just had to ask before, comes up here, where that's the 50, but 25 is here. So it's a small area. Road is somewhere in here, obviously, I don't know exactly where until it's
Surveyed.
and then the access to the abutting property is very close to the sediment forebay there. And we can see how the red is all the limit of the work, so there's activity going up there, oh, thanks, Josh, and adjacent to the basin, just to be a little clearer.
All right, a comment from me is, I don't think I've ever heard the phrase off-the-record replication area on this commission. So,
We enjoy the property, and
but then, that's an interesting phrase. I mean, that too requires, this is gonna require a greatly modified site plan.
it will. Yeah, there'll be a modified site plan that Scott's going to be presenting. I think it's December 20th is the deadline, so getting on that first meeting in January to show everything, which will show the road in the back. As it kind of continues over, so the poles actually end at the last bin. They didn't really give us a great direction. They said we need to get all the way through. So we went all the way back, and we actually, the far back area, which you'll see on the plan, that's highlighted outside the red work zone, there's a neighbor over there that doesn't want to see the building. She's a very nice lady, but we lifted the grade up right there and planted arborvitae so she doesn't have to see us. So that kind of stretches that green zone as well.
So once Eversource is done with what they're doing, or maybe they already are done,
They're done.
then what happens?
They said they have to keep the road, but we don't want the road. It doesn't do anything for us. It's just, they said if there's ever an issue, they have to access it. And we offered, we said, can't you guys just bring your trucks in the front and reach over the top? They said no.
So,
But we're not really concerned also.
still have to file for it.
No, I know
Even if
that.
something like
Right,
that,
right.
even if Eversource
Right.
has to have it,
Yeah, Eversource has to,
Yeah, so that'll be
they filed.
put on the plan, but for us, the losing power wasn't a big deal. We're putting a generator in the whole building anyways, and that was part of it, but that will be on the updated plans.
it's a lot of activity. It isn't just for the Eversource. I think that's what was the big surprise.
Oh, behind it?
Well, I mean, working beyond the limit of work, et cetera, so.
Correct.
Any comments from people?
Dean, did you want to say something?
Nope.
You don't want to talk about this?
Hey, no comment.
Bailey?
Look
what-
forward to it. He's gonna submit we're gonna have another session with the revised
So
LDR,
no
so.
additional work beyond what was approved on that site plan needs to occur, and that's what the notice of noncompliance said, so.
Understood.
You need to stop. And then, it's always good when the engineer comes in and the owner comes to a meeting, and that's always very much appreciated. So, I think moving forward, you just need to file. And then you need to stop taking little beyond what's been approved. There's also I don't know, what would you call it? The structure that you're gonna file an RDA for?
Oh,
Oh, tell us about it.
Oh, what structure?
that's a tree fort.
Oh, okay.
On stilts.
Is that in the wetland?
No,
Okay.
In the buffer zone.
Is this, oh, I was gonna say.
it's like 75 or 80 feet, I think.
So that's also coming before the commission, so.
Great. I'll reserve my comments for that time.
Perfect.
So it's already been under construction, or is it?
Yes.
Built. It's built.
Oh, it's built.
It was a tree fort that while we were renovating the upper floor of our house, the interior designer decided to get involved and wanted a Instagram cabin look. So it sort of spiraled.
In the resource area.
Yes. Which we did, the engineers have already located where it is specifically. We thought we had pulled 100 feet off of it because they're already marked. Russ Waldron is the botanist that we use, but must have missed a flag.
So Russ Waldron works with you, and your engineer is,
Scott Henderson.
so when you go back and talk to them, just say, geez, I just got in trouble again with the Conservation Commission. Can you guys give me a little heads up next time I'm about to do that again?
Yeah, there's definitely multiple opinions, like for the clearing area for the new parcel, how that all kind of evolved was we purchased it and we were told by, or I was told by our attorney that as long as we stayed less than 1 acre, that we didn't have to do anything. as long-
Okay, so tell it to Mr. Mackey too, okay?
So as
And
long
they
as,
just go, oh, wow, trouble again.
so we had to,
Please steer me clear of it, Mr. Mackey.
so we were told to stay less than 1 acre. Jim Crowley had come out for another inspection or meeting over there, and he had mentioned that there was a fast-track permit, to which I came in, spoke to Landis, we were going to go down that avenue, but then Scott said, we'll do a plan for the entire site. So that's
You were doing the fast track after the fact.
after the clearing.
Yeah, so, no,
Right, I was under the impression that you hadn't done work.
No, it was actually done before, there was partial clearing down there already before we even purchased.
okay,
it.
so Mike, you have a very powerful team behind you and a lot of really wonderful ideas for your site. How about using them in coordination? Seriously, next time say, Mr. Mackey, can I get a fast track permit after I've built a large tree house? Answer, no.
Well, I think, the point being that the additional lot was really part of the whole project. It's not, if it was a completely new project, that would be different, but if the project that is part of a budding lots, it's part of that project, so it would be,
Yeah.
you've already done the land disturbance.
That's what's-
right? You wouldn't start all over again with the 40,000 square feet. In addition to that, it wasn't considered that the replication area had a buffer zone to it
And-
as well, so.
And that's what Scott had mentioned. So was under the impression that if we staked out 100 feet off the wetlands and put ECB up, that wasn't going to be an issue. But again, that's our issue, and they're going to be fine for
Well, I
that.
would like other people not to make judgments over the wetlands jurisdiction personally.
Right.
Understood?
So take notes on this meeting. It's videoed, so take, and watch it again.
I'm gonna watch
Next
it.
time you have a
Senior center, like
project
you had
in
mentioned,
mind.
watching it.
And hear me say, use your powerful team. All right, so I guess we're seeing you in December to.
You're going to go through the commission and ask them
Oh,
questions?
sorry, I thought we did.
No.
Oh, golly. Did
Wait, I have
this-
one more question. Are we gonna see the tree for the next one? Next meeting?
So
Sorry.
Russ is doing
RDA.
that one for an RDA.
Inside everything? If it's Instagram worthy, we wanna see it.
Yes, we'll bring pictures.
All right,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
Dean, actually, I stopped at you with comments. Bailey, do you have a
Yep,
comment?
Bailey's up.
No questions, no.
Yes, Doug?
No questions.
Media.
I know a lot of this has been said already, but you've been before the commission several times, so you know the drill. You understand the regulations, but yet you went ahead and kind of did this stuff. this asking for forgiveness instead of permission is not something we like.
Understood.
So,
Yeah.
As Betsy said, you've got a lot of folks that understand the regulations, and you need to listen to them. And file the appropriate paperwork, and we'll consider that. But going forward, you understand what we're
Yeah,
looking for.
and it's our intention to protect the property. I mean, we do obviously do a lot of work.
No, I understand, it's just something,
Walpole.
you get it,
Yeah,
so you need to,
just get conflicting,
yep.
I think I just have a better understanding where I have to
Actually,
come in.
put
and-
Landis on your team. So anytime you get conflicting stuff from your guys, say, let me just give a call to Landis. Al, do you have a comment?
No,
She'll give you a personal phone.
Okay, one question has nothing to do with this. How come you have 8 mailboxes?
5.
5, looks like 8.
It's just a marketing thing. So Google sends out a code to your mailbox. So they have MF Landscape, MF Snow, MF Nursery, MF Wellesley, MF Needham, and they send a code to it. So if you have 5 mailboxes, it's like you have 5 companies.
Wow. All right.
Chris Newman, New Advantage marketing guy.
What's the benefit to that?
So, well, yeah. So Google, they change their parameters in terms of how they rank you and how you list on, page 1. So before, companies would buy PO boxes in separate towns, and then Google figured that out. So now they're making physical addresses. So like, say you wanted a MF Landscape Needham, you have to have a physical address there. Technically, you could mail a customer a Google code, and that's a new address, and then you'll rank a lot higher in Google. So the mailboxes represent 5
Are you
companies.
selling the wreaths and the other Christmas ornaments?
I'm trying to. I mean, long-term for the parcel, which we'll bring up in the January meeting, we want to have a legit big nursery down there.
Right.
We've contacted CZ Grain, which does all the different seeds. So we want to do clay fields, put a well down there, and grow trees. I mean, a big problem the business we have now is recycling. It's very costly, so bringing in brush, leaves, stumps, being able to stump grind them, reuse it for mulch, reuse, compost for the leaves, is a big thing in this business, and it's a driving cost of, what makes us expensive, the business in general. So that's the plan.
Right, so we have to arrange for him to come back January what?
Right, I believe Scott's gonna try and get on our
Better,
agenda, our
yes.
first meeting in January.
January 10th.
And the filing date is December 20th, so he has a fair amount of work to do.
So that back bin area where the road is, what do you want me to do now for there? I mean, obviously, we're not gonna do any clearing.
I would just leave everything as is until you come back to the
Okay.
commission and they decide what.
Okay. Like the replication area, we could move those tanks, they're supposed to go in the road, but, like, how, the wetlands replication zone, like right abutting it is all the galleys that Carl has us designed, or Scott had designed with Carl to put into the road. We can move those, no problem if you wanted us to, in the meantime.
I feel like just keeping everything the way it is now is probably the best solution until we have the additional activity on a plan, and then
Okay.
the commission can look at it and decide what needs to be restored, if any, and what can be amended.
Okay. Scott is going to bring up the drainage and the sediment ponds. Is there ever a case where we could do like 6 or 8 inch riprap rather than lawn in those areas at the bottom base?
Put that in your plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if anything you should get out of this is whatever you want to do needs to be
plan.
put on a plan and either submitted to the commission for a minor modification or a major modification,
Okay.
which would require an amendment. Then everything is out there, it's on a plan, it's to the commission, and you're not catching me in the hall asking me something, or Mackie or somebody, but it's all on paper, in writing to the commission, and everyone is happy.
Understood.
Okay. All right, good.
Received.
Because you have a lot more projects in mind, and you want to just start to figure out how to do them.
If you have any other future projects, this is also a good time to bring them up during this other one.
Perfect. Nothing right yet.
Thanks.
Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
You as well.
Okay, what's next? Um, all right, we've got some, you want to do minutes? We'll do those. So we've got minutes from, first question, the minutes on the executive session, do we hold these until we get the formal decision?
Yeah, you can approve them, but they
Yeah.
wouldn't be put on the website.
Okay, so that, so this is the executive session minutes of October 25th.
So I guess if
We
you have any
have-
changes, you can just write it on the minutes and let Josh know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you're not going to
Discussing
talk
it.
about it.
Right.
Okay, oh, okay. Yeah, there's some corrections that need to be made.
Well, he has them written. He has them
We
written.
had it and we have minutes.
this?
Okay, all right, so this need, okay, we need to, it's a question to clarify. All right, we'll have to do that, about who was
So you
here.
don't have to vote them tonight, why don't you, if you wanna give him the comments now, and then you can do it and then put it back on for review next
You
time.
have a question about who was here?
Yeah,
Like us?
yeah.
Oh, that should be cleared up. What-
Emilio is not listed
I came in
as
just a few
being
minutes
here,
late.
but did you come
Oh,
in
he
late?
came a little late to the executive
Okay,
session.
and it should have been, should be noted, because, yeah, and then it's a 7-0, because he's noted on the other, in the vote.
Yeah, he
was Okay.
involved in some talks
on it
first.
Okay.
Okay, so who put him on
I
the?
guess that should be, just note that arrived late or something.
Sure.
Is that, okay. All right,
I was gonna say that.
you're gonna redo these then?
Sure.
And why don't you? Yeah. Where are they? Okay, then we have a, what was it, July? The July 12th meeting, anyone have any, okay. Yeah, I have one question on the July 12th. You have it handy on page 2. Fourth paragraph down. I think it says it was, the building lot might divert water from Meadow Brook wellheads, and I think, is that supposed to be school, Meadow Brook?
Yeah.
Okay. That's on page 2, fourth paragraph down, just add that, to be School Meadow, I think that was it. I don't think we have a plain Meadow Brook. Okay, someone want to move the minutes of July 12th?
I'll move him.
Second.
And we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so these are okay. And we have a November 8th, was that the other one? Yeah, November 8th minutes. Someone want to move those?
I'll move him.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
700, okay.
I have a question about the minutes. So where do you think you are in your, finish, yeah, what's left?
So, excusing this minutes, there's 3 more, so after tonight, there'll be 4 I have to complete. then
Okay, and one of those is September 13th, right?
One of those would be September 13th. I
Okay,
believe.
just checking.
Yeah.
Because it's the one that I drafted, and I'm like, when are they coming? Okay, good, good.
So, moving through it.
Yeah, Josh has been very diligent.
Oh, you've been very diligent. I just wanted to make sure that you were on top of every, because we were missing quite a few.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a note just in case it's not on my big list. You
No,
said
I'm sure it is.
November
That's right.
13th.
No, September.
September 13th.
September, yeah, that's fine. I wrote 9 and said November. But anyways,
Yeah, I think that Betsy did a
Okay.
draft.
I did a draft of them,
okay,
and that's why I was thinking, maybe you think they're done, but they're not done.
okay.
Because it
well,
was
that's good
nothing
to
but
know.
a draft,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
All right, we have the tree removal policy. Okay.
Yeah, so I was sort of rethinking that again today. So the tree, so I often get requests for people who want to take down a tree or a part of a tree, either within the buffer zone, sometimes in the 25-foot no alteration area, that they have talked to an arborist and feel that it's a hazard concern. And I usually work with them to take down part of it or some, something like that. I have a hard time saying no because if something happens and their property gets damaged or someone gets hurt, I feel bad. So I thought rather than reinventing the wheel constantly all the time, I had to have a policy. I had actually looked up a couple different Concons and noticed Weston, who Josh also works with, had a pretty comprehensive plan so that if they take down a tree, they plant a sapling or they plant shrubs, and I think that's all good. I want to think about it a little bit longer just because I was looking up the Wetlands Protection Act, and there's, so if there's VISTA pruning over 50 feet away from BVW, it's exempt. So, assuming that means anything closer than 50 feet isn't exempt. And then landscape pruning is exempt, so assuming if you have landscaping in your yard, you can prune or remove a ornamental stuff. So I don't know exactly how Weston deals with that as an administrative approval by the agent or assistant agent or whoever to allow for certain tree cutting, but I just wanted to research it a little bit more, just to make sure if we do put this in policy, that it's an okay policy, but.
Okay. Does anybody have any, after reviewing what Landis has sent out, anybody have any comments to make on this?
No, it's
At this
fine to me.
point?
I think it should
Okay.
be- Something
So
should
we'll
be,
just- Whatever you,
Yeah, and
Get
Weston's
back.
a little bit more detailed, but we like to kind of stay a little bit more flexible sometimes. So I didn't take all the details from Weston.
yeah, I think you need some flexibility
Right, right.
in, that depends on the situation and whether,
Right.
you can't write them all up because something will be
Exactly.
different.
But it would be good for a homeowner if they realize, oh, if I take this tree down, I'm gonna have to spend money and plant something else. I want them to know that up front, and maybe all of a sudden it's not a hazard tree, but, so I think that's why it's good to have something written down, that there's expectations if you're asking to remove something, that the commission expects something to be planted in its place.
We did this a number of years ago. I think it was probably the rec department they had a bunch of pine trees around the pool. And it was shading the pool and the water's cold, whatever. So we allowed that, take those tall pine trees down and replace it with lower growing shrubs. So there's still something there, but it wasn't affecting the pool from blocking out the sun. So that did come up at that time. That's what we did at that, I don't know, number of years ago. Okay.
And I'm sure most Concoms do it in one way or the other, because they have, every time someone wants to take a tree down to come to a public hearing, this kind of these things, so.
How do you address a situation where the tree comes down, storm blows it down, and the homeowner wants to remove it, because it's already been knocked down.
Right, if it's knocked down in their yard,
Yeah,
usually it's okay to remove it. If it's knocked down in the wetlands or a 25-foot no alteration area, I would perhaps go on a site visit and see what the area is like, because snags like that is habitat, so maybe it just needs to stay. And I know a lot of homeowners look at fallen branches and trees or whatever in the forest, and they see an unkept situation, but I kind of try and talk to them a little bit and say, well, it's habitat, which is used for different, and it breaks down and becomes organic material in the woods. So if it's a lot, every now and then we'll have like one of these wind shears where lots gets, and then it is okay to take up some of it because it's too much, or if it dries out, it becomes a fire hazard, or so that's kind of a case-by-case situation.
sure, okay.
That is the
Okay.
way I would approach it.
Okay, so we'll wait till you make
Okay,
whatever
yeah, let me
revisions
just-
you want, and then put it back on the agenda. Okay, we have anything else to vote on here? What
Well,
about-
we have the other
Oh, we got,
enforcement
we got, what was that?
The other
Oh.
notice of noncompliance. Oh, we have a certificate of compliance,
We
yes,
got
thanks, for
certificates.
180 Stone Street. That's
Yeah,
right.
you have 3 on here, but are they Pine Acres, is that,
Right,
that's
the-
still,
Pine Acres still haven't gotten a sufficient response regarding the management of the stormwater
Okay.
system once the COC is issued.
and
Same with Boyden.
Boyden is, we're still waiting on info, okay.
Yep. Both which, there's still there's still money held in bond, and they haven't been accepted yet, so I generally work with the town engineer to get the COC straightened out before those issues go
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, we should get those things straightened out before they release the bonds.
Exactly.
You know, 'cause
Yeah,
then we have no
otherwise they
leverage.
walk away.
Right. And Stone Street, is that,
Okay, so Stone Street was an addition, and then after the addition was put in, they amended the order for a pool. So the pool was put in, it's all a fenced-in area, and no alteration plaques were put on the fence.
so it's okay?
Yep.
Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
700. Okay. We got something to sign for that?
Yep, thank you for reminding me. Feel free to remind at any time. No problem.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it to you in a sec. Here you go.
So that's done. All right, we have any additional info on the enforcement orders?
So the enforcement order, so a notice of noncompliance was written for the 120, 126 South Street, where the current owner had been dumping landscape material behind the building, which was actually on town property. It was doing it once in 2018, and Fish and Ash told him to stop, clean up, he cleaned up, and then sometime thereafter, he proceeded to do it again. And both the building commissioner and I have been out there enforcing the removal of the material. The material to the rear of the property was removed, and then the material down the slope towards the abutting property was also removed. If you look at my report, on the second page, you can see where the first picture is of the slope, so the material, landscape material was removed. And then the blue line is where I asked for a compost stock to be placed, and that compost stock was placed. and then their Jersey barriers were running behind the building, and I wanted erosion control to start at the end of the Jersey barrier and go down the trail area and then hook around to this slope where the first picture is, and the whole area to be hydro seeded with a winter seed mix. Now, they did it today, and I did talk to the hydro seeder today, and he still felt that, nothing's gonna grow right now, obviously, but it should be a tackifier, so it should stay in place, and hopefully start to seed in the spring. I think we should let Mr. Gomes know that if it doesn't seed in the spring, that it needs to be done again, and potentially, other plantings at least in the riverfront area in the buffer zone if needed. So I'm not ready to put this to bed yet. It really started late, and it shouldn't have been there in the first place, because he was already told not to do it. But so far, he's done what he's been told to do. But I don't think it's finished.
Okay. So we got 1029 Washington Street.
And he said he couldn't come tonight because of a family situation.
Okay.
Where are you?
On 1029 Washington Street, enforcement orders, notice non-compliance. So we'll
Tara on
continue
tree
that.
cutting.
That's been satisfying. I'm having a brain lapse here. Okay, now I know what it is, sorry. So if you're going to Washington Street and just before turning a left onto Stone Street, there's a little house there, next to the Spring Meadow Brook that goes down towards Clark's Pond. And they were out there doing some tree cutting. I had spoken to this property owner before, and he, again, I guess, was confused about what I had instructed him to do or not to do. So they did cut about 4 trees, and I asked them to provide me with a tree planting plan to compensate for those trees. So I haven't received it yet. I will follow through with them. This just recently happened.
Okay.
What's Terron mean? T-E-R-A, is that the company they were using?
No, that's the last name.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there's nothing new on Clarkson Drive or Peach Street, right?
No, so Clarkson Drive, we're just waiting for the spring, and,
Okay.
Clarkson, and I still haven't heard what's the resolved issue on Peach Street yet.
Nothing seems to be going on in that area. Okay, appeals, nothing new on that. So,
Right, there's nothing to specifically report at this point there, because it's probably an executive session discussion, but there is some discussion going on that as soon as it's resolved, I will let the commission know.
okay. Betsy and I went to the presentation by KP Law on how to behave at meetings, what to do, what not to do. Interesting. I think there's some things, and I meant to bring that, on the last pages. I don't know if you have access to this, Landis? There's a bunch of copies there. As far as how we do minutes, one of the things that was mentioned, don't use abbreviations, because somebody looking at minutes sometime in the future is like, what's it mean? So, things to be spelled out. The other thing they mentioned is all on the agenda, that all, or it should be referenced, all materials that have been submitted for discussion, and I think that, to me, that's a little much. Nobody's complained about the way we've been doing it. I think.
All the materials should be referenced on the posted agenda?
Yeah, Al, that's the way I heard it. I think you might want to check with the town clerk and see if there's any problem with the way we've been setting up our agenda. And the minutes were that was the other issue, it's supposed to be done in a timely fashion. Now, you've been working on, you got stuck with the situation, so, and otherwise, the meetings, you've been doing fine, you've been keeping up on the meetings, so. But that was, I think, you had left,
Yep.
yeah. It just seemed to me like a lot of extra,
So I wonder what specifically that means. So we referenced the notice of intent for.
Because it was general to all commissions and boards.
Yeah.
Everyone was in the room from everywhere. And so it would be a good idea to see if it actually applies to us, as we have certain protocols. I mean, they have to have plans. You don't want to say every time they had plans.
Well,
or
I
every
wouldn't think
time
so.
they-
So if we put notice of intent, which we should probably spell out notice of intent on that.
well, that was one
If
thing,
it says
yes.
notice of intent, the notice of intent includes
Includes-
all the supporting documents. I don't think
But
we have to list
I-
all the supporting documents. I think if we just
That's
put
my
notice of intent,
opinion
then it should
also,
be
but I
fine,
think if
yeah.
you want to check with
Yeah.
town clerk and just, since we just had this presentation, and just see if what we're doing meets the requirements.
Right. and
Other
we'll just-
than that we will spell out notice of intent.
Right, yeah, and we haven't, that's been kind of, sometimes it is and sometimes it
Yeah,
isn't.
and it was,
Is it okay if I make a comment? I don't want to speak.
yeah,
So I think, to reference the plans, I've worked on a few other boards. And what they typically do is at the bottom of the page, kind of similar to how we already have Landis's contact and where you can see the stream.
Yeah.
I think you can just put all like relevant plans to things listed on the agenda,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
found that, and then the URL.
yeah.
I think
All right,
that would be
that, if
fine.
you want to add that as a standard comment.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I've noticed other boards typically do that instead of putting all the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, we're ahead of the game. They said, oh, you should just automatically have online accessible to the public, everything you're going to be looking at. We already do a great job with that. Not all boards do. So there were plenty of things that I thought we were doing well. But two things caught my eye that I think maybe we want to make sure we're vigilant about. I think not everyone was here when we were asked to find every single one of our emails in which we'd ever mentioned a certain thing. I don't think you were here, Bailey.
I was not, no, I don't remember that.
So we were reminded at this meeting, don't put anything in email, because what can happen is if there's some sort of a lawsuit or question about anything, they actually have a right to ask each and every one of us, and they have done that before, because some of us know this. Look for every instance of the following word or name and send us those emails. And, nothing came of it for us, because we're not in the habit of, like, doing a whole lot of high-end stuff with emails, and we shouldn't. And they're just saying, and don't even do it in your private email, because they can ask if you want to make some comment to a neighbor or something, like, gee, I really can't stand the way such and such happens all the time, blah, blah. That can be asked for, and same with Facebook and other social media. So they're just saying, don't comment on anything that we're doing, even though it could be tempting, because maybe you've got an opinion, you're a citizen, you care about this stuff. And then the other thing that I was surprised at, that could pertain to us, was actually a lawsuit defining the definition of peaceable and orderly in respect to how the public should conduct themselves. And it went up to the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts, I presume, not the big one. And they defined peaceable and orderly but they said it does not have to include respectful and courteous. So in other words, someone could be disrespectful and discourteous, and we're to act as though it's peaceable and orderly. And so we were like, okay, that's an interesting mental exercise. But it's all in the, we're supposed to be very patient and welcoming to all sorts of ideas, even though they might be, seem to be disruptive. Very even-handed. And I just thought I thought it was interesting that we were being warned about that. So they gave some examples of some really truly disruptive meetings that had gone viral on the internet because if the general public decides they're gonna film something and then put it up there, and then it goes viral, and then it's just like, you actually get news cameras coming in and going like, we need to have quotes from you guys now. So this was part of this presentation, and this was by one of the town attorneys. And so we're supposed to be just a really, really calm, polite committee, no matter what happens.
I think one other, that we should not be using cell phones during the meetings.
Because there's another perception of the public that apparently this attorney's aware of, that if you have members of a board, and we're all on TV, some people are doing this, the perception, whether it's right or wrong, they said, and you can get in trouble for it, is that members are texting each other, like, gee, this guy's a real idiot, you know, or something.
Would that conflict with your previous statement, but not texting and emailing things?
But it's also that you shouldn't, the public shouldn't make it,
We
okay,
should not be using our
We're
cell
not a-
phones during a meeting.
and we're not
We
allowed.
just don't use them.
And we're not allowed to, so it's about the open meeting law, we should not be conferring with each other, and there's the perception that you're conferring with each other. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I can't talk to Emilio outside of this, and we're like, oh, Emilio, I think the two of us should vote against this. That would be like,
The main thing is, and I don't think we do, but just to keep in mind that we don't keep the cell phones away and then everything's fine.
On occasion, I know I will pull out my cell phone to look at
Right.
an email, so I think, and just be conscious of saying
Well,
that's
that-
what I'm
yeah,
doing.
yeah, you
I'm
need
just
to
double
explain-
checking.
that's what the
Explain
lawyer
that.
said to do.
Yeah.
No, the lawyer said, actually, like, oh, I just got a text from my wife, that's what you should do.
Or usually
Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
to do with the public hearing, the
Yeah.
email, I got an
Yeah.
email from an applicant or something that I have to reference.
It would
Be
just-
transparent about what
good,
you're
Just to
doing.
Just say
explain,
it,
just
yeah.
explain what
Yeah.
you're doing.
I'll look at an address occasionally, or a Google map during this, during, you know, I know you bring it up,
Some of
but I
this was
also.
overkill, it was 24 bullet-pointed PowerPoints, so this person was being very thorough. But just sort of, it's all about transparency, and it's all about the perception that, and not just the perception, that we are being open and above board, and not making decisions behind people's.
The other thing is, the town clerk sent out an email sometime in November on the ethics and, what was the other, the two subjects. And everybody's supposed to go through that, and
Did everyone
I
hear
don't know what
that?
you get out of
Acknowledgement.
it. If
It's
you
a
just-
new website, right? I
Yeah.
called because I went in and I had done it in April.
No, you gotta do it again.
Well, that's not what they said. They
Oh.
said if you already have an account and you've completed it and there's no tasks in there for you to do, then you're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I signed up on the new site.
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So anyhow, that, if you got it, that you should complete that. And I forget what, if you actually get anything out of it, or you just do it and say you've done it.
No, you do
I
get a
forget.
little certificate.
Was it?
Yeah.
I finished one
framed
of them.
mine.
I finished one, but I didn't get a certificate. I guess I have to, I didn't pay for it. I'll have to
I put
pay
mine
for
on my fridge.
it. Okay, anybody have anything else?
It hasn't happened, I don't typically, but if someone's being really demeaning, disrespectful, it's hard, I mean, you have to, there's a certain kind of
The
decorum that,
main
you know what I
thing
mean?
would be to ask the person you said enough, please sit down.
Right, or, yeah, exactly.
What if it's a person that comes consistently in front of our
What was that?
What if it's someone that comes consistently to our commission?
We're still supposed to be even-handed, and,
Just be nice if we can.
yeah, we really are. That's what they said.
I think
We are allowed to say.
there are issues with public comment, and I think we have, our comments are to be restricted to the subject at hand.
Right.
Apparently, there's some cases where someone's gone off on a tangent on something else, and without being, if it's not, it should be, there should be an agenda item, or if it's a hearing on a specific thing, stick to what's pertinent to the hearing, and that, if someone gets off that, or continually repeats something, or is hogging the microphone, you can ask them to sit down and explain that they've had their turn, let somebody else. Yeah, and we haven't had too many situations
And I would
where
think
that-
even when it's just a few people, just sticking, the beginning of the hearing, sticking to, if you have a question, it goes to the chair and then it goes back, and immediately not have these side conversations, because I think that's when you could get into issues, because then people get more relaxed, but if you keep the format of a public hearing, that the person out there is asking the chair for comment, that kind of, Robert rules of public hearings get maintained even when it's a small public hearing,
we
I think
should,
is good.
try to, it was a good point you made tonight, to tell them
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
address that. And there have been occasions where it has gone back and forth, and it should be more formalized in that procedure followed,
'Cause I
from the
know
board
when-
standpoint and
Yeah.
from the audience standpoint.
When that breaks down too, there's like a conversation going here and then here, and
Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
kind of confusing as to actually what's going
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Anyhow, thank you all for listening to what we could have taped it in
Oh, we should have done that. How long did that take?
hour and a half.
You
We could-
know,
Get this going.
So
I
I need,
can look and see if I can get copies of the PowerPoint and send them to the other board members. if you-
they're pretty well followed. It'd get some general ideas on it. It was worthwhile. Wasn't worth an hour and a half sitting, but from my standpoint of sitting
That's
for
why
an
I
hour
had
and a
an
half.
appointment after an hour.
So, but it
'Cause I had
was,
the
for the most
PowerPoints
part, it
there.
was worthwhile.
Yeah, no, it was
And staff, we had another workshop with KP Law regarding when people come into the office to get information, that sometimes they come with cameras. Either camera or either their phone or a video camera. They have a right to do that, and they have a right to ask you your full name and record, and sometimes it gets put up on YouTube.
They try to get you to
They
say
try and
something
get you
stupid, or, yeah.
There was
Has that
another,
happened to you?
No, luckily it has not.
But they were warning us, this has been happening in other places.
Like,
The other-
They ask you a question, they're like, proof. Cool.
You
well,
want to get a reaction.
They want to
the
get a
other
reaction.
point is if anybody is recording, and that's why I mentioned it tonight, that this is on the community TV, that if anybody does want to record, they have to ask permission. the
That must be
chair.
just at a public hearing.
I think it's
For
at a
public
public,
That's
hearings.
not, if they come into their office, they
Well,
do
that-
not have to ask. They have every right to record us.
But if they're going to do something at the public hearing, they have to ask
Right.
permission
Right.
and notify that they are doing it.
Right.
right. Maybe it's because we're just ordinary citizens or something, and not
Or
like
because
a,
it's already
a
being
town
recorded.
employee.
Well,
It's
they-
already being recorded.
ordinary.
for-
Yeah, and they have to
My mom's
ask,
telling
that
me
was the
it's
main
special.
point. You can't tell them they can't, but they have
We're
to
not
ask.
town employees.
Oh, you're special, all right.
If you need permission, anybody's recorded, and I believe she made this point in Massachusetts general laws, that you need permission if you're gonna record, like a
That's not
telephone
what we were-
conversation.
That's not what we were told.
Not if she's a town employee, apparently.
In a public
That's
space.
I was
the way I heard it,
surprised.
anyhow.
Not
But
in a
they're
public
supposed
space.
to ask, that notify that you're gonna, it is illegal to secretly record.
Oh, just secretly, yes.
Oh.
They, right. If they have it and they walk into our office and you can see it, you can't say, please stop.
Oh, is that true
videotaping."
for us as well?
Yeah,
Oh,
But they have to ask, that's the point. That if someone who's gonna record something at the public hearing, they have to ask and notify that that's what they're doing. So, it's not that they can't do it, but they have to notify that that's what's being done. All right, so enjoy the holiday, everybody enjoy your days off.
You too.
all right. Anyone want any more cookies down that direction?
Thank you.
Want some more? Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
This meeting?
Give the tins back.
I think so.
These are,
Yeah, do we have,
You vote to close?
go this way.
Jeff? Close?
Oh, did someone make a motion to close the hearing?
Motion close hearing.
Second.
Okay, are we off?
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.